It was a blazing summer afternoon. The sun shone mercilessly in the sky, drying out everything in its path. The grass had turned brown, and the leaves on the trees were wilting under the heat. Down on the ground, a little ant scurried about, desperately searching for water. She had been walking for what seemed like hours, her tiny legs growing tired under the hot sun. As she continued her journey, her eyes finally caught the sight of a small, glistening spring not too far ahead. The water sparkled in the sunlight, and the ant's heart leaped with hope. With renewed energy, she made her way toward the spring, her mouth dry and her body parched. However, there was a challenge she had to overcome. The spring was surrounded by tall grass, and the only way to reach the water was to climb one of the slender blades of grass leaning over it. The ant hesitated for a moment, but then resolved to give it a try. She carefully started her ascent, her tiny feet gripping the smooth blade of grass. About halfway up, disaster struck. The blade of grass, slippery from the morning dew that had yet to evaporate, became too difficult to hold on to. The ant lost her grip, and before she could react, she slipped and fell straight into the water below with a small splash. Panic set in immediately. The ant was a good swimmer for her size, but the water was too deep, and she was far too small. She struggled against the current, flailing her legs and trying to stay afloat, but the water was pulling her down. She was on the verge of drowning. High up in the branches of a nearby tree, a dove watched the scene unfold. The dove had been resting in the cool shade, but her sharp eyes immediately noticed the little ant's struggle. Without a moment's hesitation, the dove decided to help. She knew that time was running out for the ant. The dove flew down from her perch and landed on a branch that hung directly over the spring. With a swift motion, she plucked a large, green leaf from the branch with her beak. The dove carefully aimed and dropped the leaf right next to the struggling ant, making sure it would float close enough for the ant to reach. The ant, seeing the leaf land nearby, paddled frantically toward it. With the last bit of strength she had, she climbed up onto the floating leaf. Exhausted but relieved, she lay there for a moment, catching her breath. The leaf slowly drifted towards the shore, and when it finally touched dry ground, the ant hopped off. She was safe at last, and she knew it was all thanks to the kind dove. As the ant rested and regained her strength, something else was happening nearby that neither the ant nor the dove had noticed. A hunter had been walking quietly through the forest, searching for prey. He spotted the dove perched on the branch after helping the ant and immediately recognized an opportunity. He quietly pulled out his net, intending to trap the unsuspecting bird. The hunter moved closer, careful not to make a sound. His plan was to throw the net over the dove and capture her before she could react, but the ant, still resting on the ground, noticed the hunter's movements. She saw him crouching, ready to strike with his net. She realized that the dove, who had just saved her life, was now in danger. The ant knew she had to act quickly. Without a second thought, the ant sprinted toward the hunter. Using her powerful jaws, she delivered a sharp bite to the man's heel. The hunter let out a yelp of pain, and in his surprise, he dropped the net. He bent down to swat at his ankle, and the noise startled the dove, who immediately took flight. The dove soared high into the sky, safe from the hunter's trap. She circled above and saw the little ant on the ground below, realizing that it was the ant's quick thinking that had saved her life. Grateful for the ant's help, the dove called down to her, "Thank you, little friend. You saved me just as I saved you." The ant looked up and smiled, feeling proud that she could return the favor. From that day on, the ant and the dove became close friends, always watching out for each other. Though they were very different creatures, they understood the value of kindness and the power of helping one another in times of need. And so, in the heart of the forest, a beautiful friendship blossomed between the tiny ant and the graceful dove, reminding all who witnessed it that no matter how small or large, every act of kindness matters.